Okay, for this one, my f of x happens to be a fraction. They still want us to find the inverse. Okay, we're just going to find the inverse only. We're not going to do a check for this one. Even though it's a fraction, we're still going to follow the same 4 steps we talked about earlier when you're finding inverses. The first step is you're going to change the f of x into a y. So f of x into a y looks like that. That's going to be it. Step number 2, you have to switch the x and the y. We're switching x and y. Notice that there's 2 x's here, so each of those got changed into a y. The single y, that got changed into an x. So now I'm done with step number 2. Now step 3 is the one that involves the most work. We need to solve this for y. So since there's 2 y's that's here, this involves a special process that I'm going to talk about. We need to first get rid of the fraction. You have 2 ways that you can get rid of that fraction. The first one is you multiply both sides by the common denominator, which is going to be y plus 4. That's one way you can do it. Or you can cross multiply. So if I take x times y plus 4, I'm multiplying these diagonals. That's going to be equal to 2y minus 3. That's this diagonal right there. So now that I have that, I'm going to multiply both of these by x, because what I need to do is, the idea here is I want to get all the y's on one side of the equation. So in order to do that, I first need to free up the y that's in here. I get xy plus 4x, and then I get 2y minus 3 over here. And so what I need to do is I have to get all the y's on one side of the equation. So I'm going to bring the 2y across the equal sign, and I'm going to make that negative, and I get xy minus 2y. The 4x that's here, I'm going to move that one across the equal sign as well because it doesn't have a y attached to it, and I get negative 4x minus 3. The reason why I want to get all the y's on one side of the equation is because I want to factor out a y. So if I factor out a y here, I get x minus 2 left over. Removing these y's again, that's all you're left with is x minus 2. Then you have this is still the same on the other side. And then now that I've factored that out, the reason why you want to do that is because the 2 y's now become into a single y. So now that I have that, I can divide both sides by x minus 2, and when I do that, then I'm going to get my answer, which is negative 4x minus 3 over x minus 2. So that would be the answer for step number 3. If I want to do step number 4, all I have to do is just change this over into an inverse, like that. And now that's going to be my final answer. My inverse is negative 4x minus 3 over x minus 2. Now the reason why we're not doing a verification on this is because you would have to take all of this and put all that into both the x's up here, and that would create a lot of algebra. So I'm not really focusing on all that algebra on this particular problem. I'm just focusing on, do you know how to find an inverse? So as long as you follow these 4 steps here, then that's going to allow you to get the inverse, and that's all you have to do on this one.